Hey guys, welcome back to Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. We're getting into another little chat on Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 2. This is episode 12 called Bad Eggs. Very, very enjoyable little episode. This one was written by Marty Nixon and it originally aired January 12th, 1998. Buffy must contend with vampire cowboys, the Gorch brothers, and the Bezoar, a prehistoric parasite. This episode actually introduces a couple of vampires that are almost been set up as like a new threat in Sunnydale, and kind of a pair of vampires that have a nasty history, but they're more of like a comedy duo than an actual real threat. And yes, it's an interesting beginning to see where this is going to go. At the beginning of the episode, Buffy and her mother, they're shopping at the mall when Buffy notices a vampire leading a girl into a closed arcade. Buffy fights off the vampire, who is later found out to be a semi-notorious vampire called Lyle, who travels with his brother Tactor. I want to say Tactor, but I think it could be Hector. I need to get my hearing looked at. At school the next day, Xander and Cordelia make out in the closet despite the fact that they both continue to bicker and argue that they don't want a relationship. We're getting to see a lot of that in season 2. This, they're sneaking off as often as they can to play a bit of tonsil tennis and not let their friends find out about it. But their friends aren't stupid. In this episode, Willow is starting to question the pair of them. They're acting really weird and whatnot. In the health class, the teacher, Mr. Whitmore, asks the students to pair off to take care of an egg as part of like a parenting lesson. They have to take this egg, look after it, and pretend as if it's a child. That night, Buffy's egg breaks open and a tentacle emerges, attaching itself to her face and inserting a tendril into her ear. The next morning when she wakes up, the egg is back to normal, but Buffy is feeling ill. At the library, Giles comments on how both Buffy and Willow appear to be very tired and sluggish, both passing it off as a bad night's sleep, but it's these eggs that have been messing with them during the night. That night, a security guard enters the school basement, finds a large hole in the wall, only to be knocked unconscious by Mr. Whitmore, the teacher of the health class. Arriving home later that night, Buffy sees her egg hatching. Suddenly a creature emerges and attempts to attach itself to her body. Buffy finally manages to stab it with a pair of scissors before phoning Willow to warn her. But Willow assures Buffy that she's fine. But as she hangs up the phone, the camera pans down and we see that her egg has already hatched and whatever was in there isn't there anymore. The next day, a creature is seen to have itself attached to Willow's back. Xander, who has hard-boiled his egg, decides to eat it, only to find a dead creature inside. The Scooby Gang proceed to the science lab to dissect the creature. However, Giles hasn't shown up in the science lab, and Willow says, he said to start off without him, he'll catch up later on. Cordelia has her egg in her backpack. The egg actually hatches in there, and the creature attaches itself to Cordelia through the bag, instructing her to knock Buffy unconscious, while Willow hits Xander over the head with a microscope. They drag Buffy and Xander to a closet before joining a large group of students who pick up tools and head into the basement. Joyce arrives at the library later to pick Buffy up. However, she instead encounters Giles, who they have a little chat about Buffy and the stuff she's going through and what she's doing. Joyce has her more or less grounded for life at this point, and she's told her at the beginning of the day to go to the library after school, and she would get her after work. But of course, when Joyce turns up, she's not there, and her and Giles have a chat about Buffy, and she's doing her thing and whatnot. And when Joyce isn't looking, Giles actually opens a drawer, picks out one of these creatures and places it on her back. The creature then takes over Joyce, and they both go into the basement. Buffy and Xander regain consciousness and find two unhatched eggs in the closet along with them. They were put in there in the hopes that these creatures would attach themselves to the two of them, and they'd become a part of the unconscious army, let's say, of this creature that's laying these eggs in the basement called the Bazaar. Buffy smashes them before they go to the library. Buffy finds a book describing the creatures who attach themselves to and then control a host. So they follow a student into the basement and through the hole, where they find a host group digging up the Mother Bazaar. Buffy decides to kill the Mother Bazaar. However, Lyle and Tactor arrive to attack Buffy. We've had this threat throughout the episode from these two new vampires. So they turn up, and as the final fight begins, Buffy has to fight off all these students that are under control of this monster, as well as Giles at one point. So at one point during the fight, Buffy and these two new vampires are fighting shoulder to shoulder to get rid of these possessed humans, let's say. But whenever they get a gap in that, they're actually fighting with each other. The fight eventually ends up in the working pit, where Willow orders the others to kill them. Tector is grabbed by a tentacle and eaten by the Mother Bazaar, and Lyle goes crazy. This is his brother who's just got killed, even though they're two evil vampires. He is gonna rip Buffy apart for this happening. But before he can do that, Buffy is also seized by a tentacle, and before she gets dragged into the hole where this giant monster is, she manages to grab a pickaxe, and as she's down there, you can hear the fight of the axe hitting this monster, and you just see this massive eye on top of it, and actually closing as it dies. And she uses the pickaxe to climb out of the pit and freeing the hosts of the spell. And Lyle looks at her and is just like, everything's over, and he runs off. So I'm not sure if he ever actually makes an appearance again in the series. It's been that long since I watched it, but there's good comedy moments between him and the brother earlier on in the episode, whenever they're talking about getting rid of the Slayer and whatnot, and just pure redneck attitudes. It's great. Some hilarious moments out of the two of them, and yes, it's a great episode, and this here probably didn't do much justice to it, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's one of these episodes that again is like a break off from the main storyline of the entire series. There's usually one big storyline that's knitted throughout each season, and this is a break off from that. So yes, at the end of the episode, Buffy's mother tells her to pretty much get home, you're still grounded and whatnot, you're not doing what I tell you, sort of deal. That's one of these episodes where I thought, she would maybe work it out by the end of the episode that, do you hear my stomach rumbling? Terrible, I need to go eat something. Yeah, she would think this was the episode Buffy's mother, Joyce, was going to figure out that Buffy is the Slayer, but no, it doesn't happen in this episode. But very, very, very good episode, and definitely not one to skip over if you're checking the season out. Anyway, that's going to do it, guys. I haven't got a big lot of time tonight to record this better than it is. I'm trying to go 5 days a week, so can't be perfect all the time. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. I will talk to you again tomorrow for a little bit more of the Hammer House of Horror. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.